we did have some big news today. The Jaxson Dart era is officially underway in New York. The Giants are going to bench Russell Wilson, and they're planning to start rookie Jaxson Dart on Sunday versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Not exactly a smooth landing spot for the rookie here in his first game against a tough Chargers defense. Ray, what was your reaction to this news, and what do you think the fantasy fallout for Dart as a potential sleeper quarterback and our guy Malik Nabers as a wide receiver one? What's the situation here in New York?
Yeah, I saw this coming. I mean, this Russell Wilson was on borrowed time. He was on borrowed time. I believe the first article that I wrote for Yahoo going into the season, it was like Jaxson Dart, not on the radar now, but he's probably going to play sooner rather than later. Have him on your sleeper quarterback list. I think that the bigger issue now that Dart is the starter is Andrew Thomas going to play his full allotment of snaps at left tackle? I believe he was limited to about 25 snaps last week versus the Kansas City Chiefs. He being on the field is a big upgrade to that offensive front. We've seen the New York Giants try to rotate Jaxson Dart in a couple of times a game, throwing him out there to run the ball, a lot of RPO stuff. But now we get Jaxson Dart full time. And I think the best thing kind of happening for him in this offense is maybe Cam Scadaboo's emergence as a legitimate threat out of the backfield between the tackles and in the receiving game. What are my true upside feelings? What can he produce for us in fantasy? I wouldn't feel confident throwing him out there this week versus the Chargers. I'll tell you that. And the schedule doesn't get much easier as we move forward, but he can run around. He is throwing to Nabers and Wan'Dale Robinson. If Andrew Thomas is on the field, that helps. I guess my final takeaway is just here we go. Here we go.
I think you're right about that, man. Like you said, it's not just this week against the Chargers. We get in New Orleans in week 5, which is probably the easiest game here of these next few that I'm going to read off. But Brandon Staley can put together a pretty good game plan. I still probably think that that's a more favorable spot than week 4 against the Chargers. But week 6, Thursday night against the Philadelphia Eagles. Week 7 in Denver against the Broncos. Week 8, we're going to Philadelphia, right back to face that Eagles defense again. Week 9, the San Francisco 49ers, Nick Bosa out for the season, but that defense has played pretty well to start the year. So definitely going to be a little bit of a trial by fire for Jaxson Dart, the rookie quarterback. But one thing I think is important to mention here is this is something we learned in the preseason, that there are 2 different offenses that the Giants have been installing this year. It's the Russell Wilson offense, which is what the Russell Wilson offense always is. Now, it's certainly devolved into its most cartoonish form, especially in the red zone, that final red zone sequence, which was really an affront to football, in my opinion. We're throwing down the tunnel. We're throwing at the cameraman. We're throwing at the field goal crossbar. All Russell Wilson does is throw deep, and he throws checkdowns, which can only beat the Cowboys defense, and that's it. No other real NFL defense can be beat by that approach here in the year 2025. But then the Jaxson Dart offense is a lot of these RPOs. There's going to be a lot of quarterback run game involved here. So that, anything that we've seen in the first 3 weeks, I almost just don't think it's instructive at all to whatever the Giants will do with Jaxson Dart. I think it will be a completely new thing.
Yeah, it's going to look completely different. And the packages and what he ran at Ole Miss, it was a lot of RPO stuff. And honestly, at this stage of his career, starting in the 4th NFL game, I don't think they want Jaxson Dart progressing 1, 2, 3, going backside, coming back front side. It's find your read. If your read isn't there, utilize your legs. What do you have to lose? I do think Brian Daboll, man, if he's going to go down, I'm going down firing with a guy that I picked in the first round. So I think this offense will open up some. And let's be honest, the juice wasn't really there with Tyrone Tracy to start the season. I know he had a great opportunity to sort of hold that role, but Scadaboo just looks way more explosive. He looks more physical. And now we know that Tyrone Tracy is going to miss multiple weeks. So, at least you got Malik Nabers. You've got Wan'Dale Robinson, but I would definitely temper expectations for not just Dart, Matt. My question to you is how much of a downgrade, and not long-term, but how risky is Nabers moving forward? Or do you think it's something different than Russ? It's going to be better. No concerns whatsoever. Not concerns to the point where you're not going to start him, but just if you had a dope wide receiver room, right? What do you think Nabers' floor to ceiling should be at least the first couple of weeks with Dart.
So I just wrote a piece for Yahoo today where I basically like redid the first round of fantasy drafts based on what we know through the first 3 weeks. And I'm going to reference it a couple times in the show today. Remember, folks, we're reading again in 2025. We're reading Ray's work. You can go read that piece on the website as well. Just kind of who's in, who's out. I think Nabers would still be a first round pick to me. And we all know that Jaxson Dart time was coming because the reason I would be a little bit more optimistic about Nabers in this situation, and unless Dart is just an outright disaster, which is, by the way, based on who he was as a prospect, like kind of a volatile guy, that's not like a 0% chance. But I think games like what we saw on Sunday where Nabers gets completely schemed out, those are not going to happen in the Dart offense because, again, with Russell Wilson, it's all this deep stuff. It's all down the field. It's much easier to bracket and take away the number one wide receiver when they're doing that as opposed to these quick-hitting RPOs. Like, historically, when a quarterback is running a lot of RPOs, the first read target is getting the football. The vast majority of those, like the targets per route, get juiced up. So far this year, Nabers is at 25.8% targets per route run, which is 18th. Among all pass catchers right now, which is a lot lower than what he was as a rookie. So I think we're getting back to those like absurd Malik Nabers target games. We might not have the crazy week 2 like performance that we had against your Cowboys, but I think the floor is maybe a little bit higher here.
I love that. And that's why I said, if they're going to run that RPO stuff, he's probably not, faking the handoff to the running back, going 1, 2, 3, coming backside one. It's,
correct.
Who's my first read? Let me get that thing out or I'm going to take off with my legs. So I'll just say this. I'm excited to see him. And getting the Chargers, this is going to be a tough matchup for him. But then you've got New Orleans. I guess if there's a spot to insert him to get him some live reps before the gauntlet. And don't forget, folks, the Giants have the late bye. They don't get they don't get any vacation until week 14. So it was probably the time to do it, and Russ did nothing to make you feel. He did everything in his power to get taken off the field on Sunday night. What an embarrassing performance.
Yeah, it was brutal. Speaking of Russ, last thing we'll talk about here. I told Frank Schwab at a Vegas event that we did in August, the whole get-together, the Yahoo Fantasy Kickoff event. I was like, hey, Frank, Russell Wilson's not going to be on this week 1 roster. Like, they clearly want to start Jaxson Dart and like Jameis Winston and Tommy DeVito, who is, I think, is on the Patriots practice squad now, and Jaxson Dart. They're all shooting these like 3 Amigo videos or whatever, and Russ is nowhere to be found. Because it's just like one of these things is not like the other here. And at this point, obviously, I was wrong about that. He made it to week 4, but he's not going to be on this roster by week 6, right? Like, what's the point of having Russell Wilson around here? Someone else can take on that contract, or they might even release him. I don't know how the salary structure would work there. Is there any team that you would want to see Russell Wilson on, or is it just like, who cares with this point at Russ's career?
No. He's had an outstanding career, but this felt like the last hurrah for Russell Wilson. And, with them replacing him, like, what is the point? With Jameis Winston on the roster, like, the only way they're going back to him, Matt, is if everybody gets hurt. Like, Jaxson Dart is the starting quarterback moving forward. Let him go. And is there anywhere I would like to see Russ land? The answer to that is no.
I would pitch the Bengals as truly the only team if Jake Browning, pukes all over himself again, because like I said, Russell Wilson can only do 2 things. It's throw a bunch of deep shots to really talented wide receivers and check the ball down. And at times, like early in Joe Burrow's career, that's basically all they did with Joe Burrow, because they had these 2 crazy talented wide receivers. And, it's not like they did any of the under center play action and that stuff. So I think Browning would have to truly fail, and the coaching staff would have to get into, oh boy, we have got to save our jobs type mode, which they're playing some tough defenses here coming up. They just played one in Minnesota. They got a few more here. So that would be truly the only one I would pitch. Anywhere else, though, I'm with you. Not interested.
Yeah. And if they've got a result to Russell Wilson to try to save their jobs, they might as well pack up them suitcases. Pack it up. Go ahead and get your stuff in the boxes. And throw Jamar at quarterback, because you're probably going packing.